Hey, would help to add my face. Hello, football family. Welcome into Huddled Up Films. Caught me slipping. Caught me slipping a little bit. Big week for the Ravens. Coaching search. Where are they in their coaching search? How close are they? Are they waiting for the guys who are still in the playoffs? Have they zeroed in on some candidates? You would have to think it's getting kind of close. Is the sense of urgency raised now that the Bills' job is open and you can coach Josh Allen out there? Then the owner kind of stuck his foot in his mouth today, whereas Steve Bisciotti is Steve Big Shotty, showed in his press conference. So we're going to talk about all that tonight. Debonair Dev Panchwal will be joining us shortly. He is out being super husband, picking up some food, and trying to get back in that New York traffic on time. So Dev has a lot of thoughts, weighed in, was kind enough to join us again this evening. That's why the headphones and stuff are on. So, hey, let's check in. Let's check in with the crew, see who is there. Blaze was in kind of early. Blaze, if you're out there, man, smoke them if you got them. If you ain't got them, then you hit rock bottom. So shout out to King Blaze and all his music and his endeavors on YouTube. Love you, Blaze. Ashley. Hey, Jason. Hey, y'all. Ashley, my Twitter friend. See, what I like about Ashley is she doesn't just post football. I try to keep it all football. But Ashley will post some heartwarming stories and other stuff that I kind of like. So that's why I like following Ashley over there on Twitter. Jason Zaratniak, what's up, Yak? Good evening to you. It is great seeing you back. Feel like I haven't heard much from you, Jay-Z. So looking forward to hearing from you tonight. Dario, solid as a rock, man. One of the bedrock members of the channel. If you want a channel membership, they're available. You can see them scrolling down at the bottom. Always want to give my channel members love, especially this isn't a huge channel. So really appreciate those who support. The Linda J in the house, the channel grandma. What is up, Mom? It's actually my grandmother's birthday, rest in peace, today. So I've been thinking a lot about her, how I didn't get enough time with her. She had just turned 13 when she passed away, but she was my favorite family member, as I'm sure a lot of you guys love your grandma too. And of course, Cosmonaut Project, thinking about getting his studio back up, his musical studio. So we will see how that goes using AI and trying some of the new toys out. So maybe we'll have some new songs, some new highlight video songs. But the theme song, of course, that's Cosmonaut playing the bass on that thing here in the beginning. And of course, channel favorite, co-host, regular on the channel, Alec Paulianis. He had some things to do today. It wasn't his best time. And Romy Rome from Germany. Great to see you, Romy Rome. All the way out there with the time difference just blows me away. Chris, the lovely Chris, in here with a hello all. Hello, Chris. Hello, Chris. King Lee with the triple fours. Like the fours. Like the triple fours, King Lee. That's my kind of style. Thank you for joining us tonight. A lot to get into, but I got to say hello to the family, including Dwiz. Dwiz Niz 33. Dwiz is in the his, dare I say. It's great to see you, Dwiz, man. I hope you got the sweatshirt, the Huddled Up Film swag. I hope you like it. Hope you're rocking it, man. It means a lot. Thought of me like that. And then laid back Big Al, my former did not know neighbor, but apparently Al was my neighbor somewhere in there. It's great seeing you, Al. Alex Reda, it's great to see you. See your name down at the bottom with that membership that Heather gifted you last week. So, man, we got a full house. This is great to see. Just scrolling because I don't want to miss anybody. And it's a Blaze birthday. Happy birthday, King Blaze. Nice, man. Nice. Yeah, I have a feeling King Blaze is going to be working on his birthday. He's probably released like 10 more videos since I last saw. But yeah, Blaze out there, Head VP out there. Okay, we are ready. So the first slide I want to present is just a simple one, just to update everybody on where we are. The head coaching carousel. I pulled this from the Colin Cowherd show. I pulled another clip from this show, but I like the way he had this displayed, so I'm kind of stealing this from him. But you can see 4 head coaching openings have been filled, including John Harbaugh with the Giants. Somebody that I know Dev liked and a lot of Ravens fans like, and Robert Saleh. He took the job in Tennessee. So I guess things didn't go very well with his interview here, or maybe he just got the feeling that he wasn't going to be considered for a finalist because the Ravens, as you guys know, professional organization. very upfront with people, not afraid to have tough decisions. So it would not surprise me if they talk with Saleh and were just like, well, we're not seeing it. We're not sure if you're going to get a second interview. And Saleh just took the job with the young quarterback they have down there in Cam Ward. And Stefanski, another guy that the Ravens brought in, interviewed. He is going to be in Atlanta. They have a lot of nice pieces in Atlanta. Just worry about the quarterback. Michael Penix, of course, coming off his third ACL tear, and I believe they're all in the same knee. And he wasn't young when he was drafted, and he hasn't played well when he's been in there. So you have a lot of nice pieces in Atlanta with no quarterback. Kevin Stefanski has dealt with some multiple quarterbacks, needless to say, for his 7, 8 years in Cleveland that he was there. But they do have a lot of talented pieces. Jeff Hafley. But look at the coaching vacancies. Really, it's kind of in my opinion, a 3-3. I think the Ravens stand out ahead. Of course, you see the Ravens banner behind me. But it's not just the quarterback and Lamar Jackson. It's the organizational stability from the GM, the owner that caught everybody's attention when he spoke, the sense of urgency to win, the competitive every year with the high upside. The Ravens' job is the best job to me. And of course, maybe I'm biased on there, but I mean, I would think that it's the best job. Josh Allen, excellent player. I know he gets a lot of heat from the Ravens fans because, let's be honest, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, same draft, trying to get over the Patrick Mahomes and Chiefs hump. Their legacies are tied together. So, Ravens fans want to see Josh fail just so Lamar can have the better career and vice versa up in Buffalo. But the Bills' job, very good. Terry Pagula, though, I don't know if you saw their owner come out today, throw Keon Coleman under the bus, jump in, very unprofessional, night and day difference between him and Steve Bisciotti. And then the Steelers, they haven't had all but 3 coaches since man was on the moon. So you're going to get a long run. But how complacent are the Steelers? Do they want to win every year at the expense of never getting their quarterback? That's kind of a tough job. So I would say Ravens number 1, Bills number 2, Steelers number 3, and then the 3 teams. Maybe the Raiders are kind of interesting because Tom Brady is involved there, and they have the number 1 pick. So they'll probably draft Fernando Mendoza. So you will have a quarterback theoretically that should have high upside to work. But the Ravens are sitting in the catbird seat. Hey, Flock Rundown, Ryan, what is up? It is good to see you in here. And Ryan's channel. We got to get Ryan back on soon. I'm sure we will. It's going to be a long off season, Ryan. And that's probably Dev buzzing me right here. Okay, Dev is trying to hop on right now. He is at the lounge though, so he's having some Wi-Fi issues. So come on, Dev. We need you, buddy. We need you. And Samuel Moore, channel member, football family. Keep up all the hard work. Jason, love the show. I love you too, man. I love being here with you guys every Wednesday. It's special to me. It's just really, really fun. First year I'm continuing the show after the season. Got the chef in here. Haven't seen much of the chef. Great seeing you. I hope you guys are enjoying the highlights, by the way. Chris re-upped. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Chris re-up in there. She's always family. That's family right there. And the Flock Rundown gifted a membership. So yeah, it's great to see that. Thank you so much, Ryan. You didn't have to do that. For those who have the channel memberships, the videos that I'm putting out, the highlight videos, are up every week, 1 a day for everybody. But the channel members get to see them early. So if you have a channel membership, you'll see all the videos as soon as I do one. I upload them to YouTube. And see Tracy in here as well. What's up, Top Knot? Hey, Jason. Hope everyone is keeping warm. Yeah, record snowfall coming in this week. Okay, let's get into the first update because to me this is fascinating, and it's from the Colin Cowherd show. He had the Athletics' Diana Russini, longtime reporter, very plugged in on his show, and what she said was kind of caught me by surprise. So we're in here and we're talking about Jesse Minter, and he's had a second interview. Anthony Weaver's second interview. you're figuring that the Ravens, maybe they're waiting on Clint Kubiak out in Seattle or Nathan Shieldhouse. The offensive mind, who does Lamar want to work with? Bisciotti made it clear that Lamar can be involved in this process as he can. And Rossini kind of dropped a little bit of a bomb to me out here. Let's listen to what she said.
Until Buffalo opened up. And I still think the Ravens, Steve Bisciotti's great. Roster's very, very good. Yeah. O-line stable, Lamar Jackson. Jesse Minter feels like the play, but I'm not hearing about it. What's the Baltimore situation?
Well, Jesse Minter's with them right now, actually. So we'll see how that pans out. I'd love to know what his plan is at OC. That's all that matters. That is all that matters in Baltimore right now. Who is going to coach Lamar Jackson? Steve Bisciotti was very transparent. They're all in, right? They're all in because they fired John Harbaugh, and they want to make this work. They want to get to the Super Bowl, and this is another organization that's looking at it as a window, right? We got to get the most out of them. So while I understand that you're bringing in the leader of men, and that's important that you have the CEO, the plan for OC has to be there, right? So Cliff Kingsbury is a name that's out there. I can tell you, I know for a fact that Lamar Jackson and those receivers would like Cliff Kingsbury to run their offense. They have shown support. They've been vocal about it. They've been part of some of these interviews too. Lamar Jackson's part of these. He's zooming in. He's in touch with the decision makers of what he likes, who he's liked. And so, we'll see how this shakes out. But I think Anthony Weaver's one of those, again, that I mentioned a few minutes ago, that is going to be in the running for this job. And from what I understand, Cliff Kingsbury would be his OC. Wow. And I think that would be a pretty tremendous fit when you think about what Cliff Kingsbury did with Kyler Murray. Now insert Lamar Jackson, one of the best quarterbacks in football.
So, Dev, bringing you on a hot topic right here. Glad that you were able to hear that. Dev, how you doing? First of all, you made it. Wi-Fi tough?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks, Jason. Sorry, just some Wi-Fi connectivity issues, so I had to go to the phone. Let's see how it goes. So I apologize for the technical difficulties.
You're all good, brother. You're all good. I really appreciate you being here to sort through this. So, Dev, we're sitting here. We got Jesse Minter in the building again today for the second, or in the building today for the second interview. We didn't hear of him being hired, of course. So I guess he's leaving without a contract. Are we waiting for Clint Kubiak? Are we waiting for the two Rams coordinators, Shula and Shieldhouse? Anthony Weaver's in this thing. There's a lot of moving parts. And then Diana Rossini, as we just heard, comes on the Colin Kaepernick show. Lamar's very involved. Lamar's zooming. Lamar and the receivers would like a Cliff Kingsbury offense. The former Cardinals head coach, of course, he worked with Mahomes at Texas Tech. Goes to Kyler Murray. Then he's working with Jaden Daniels. So history with quarterbacks who can move and make plays on the run with their arms and legs, like Lamar Jackson does. But this kind of hit me. It's like we weren't talking about Kingsbury at all. And now Rossini, who's very plugged in, she's with The Athletic, but I think she was with ESPN for a while. Diana Rossini is a known name, is saying that the players, including Lamar, would like to be in a Cliff Kingsbury offense.
Yeah, it's interesting development, right? I think Cliff Kingsbury has definitely been a popular name kicked around in this entire process. And I think the thought has always been an OC role. This is the first in which you're connecting it with Lamar and the players. And I don't know where she's got her sources. She must have some major pull because Lamar is like a vault, right? Like we don't know anything about this guy and what he does. So for her to have the info, partially, I agree with you. She does have a lot of cred because she's been before The Athletic, like you said, she was on ESPN, and but some of this doesn't smell right all the way for me. But like I'll give her the benefit of the doubt because of her background and her connections. But on one level, on the other level, you could see where there could be intrigue from Lamar, right? Because it is still the air raid offense that he's been running with Todd Monken. So there's a connection and this familiarity there. You look from afar, and Cliff is he's known as a guy with a lot of charisma, and he's just that type of guy. Like comes in the room, and I'm sure he can talk a good game. And um, you got the Hollywood connection as well, right? Like Hollywood played in that offense. He's got good things to say. It is on paper. I think the connections make logical sense, and I think it's just a matter of is this the definite direction? And she mentioned Weaver is the coach that would bring him on board. I'm curious if that's like the only scenario. If Minter, ends up being the head coach, because there's no known offensive coordinator link to Minter, right? So is this something where they're having a collaborative conversation? Lamar might throw out the fact that he likes Cliff Kingsbury to run the offense, and then maybe Minter is agreeable to that. I don't know. I'm just throwing out some ideas, but yeah, I think it's an interesting dynamic, and pretty strong that she said definite. I think she used the words definite, right? Something like that. Like
She was
or I
like,
know
I
for a
could tell you
fact.
for a fact.
Yeah, for a fact. Now, what do you think of that? Do you think that has legs to it? Because that's strong words that she's putting out there.
That's what makes me believe her. Now I know Lamar's not talking to anybody, so I would think that she's got connections within the building. Somebody that said, "Look, man, Lamar really likes Kingsbury." And when we had our interview with Kingsbury, maybe they even said, "Look, we're kind of surprised all the people we brought in, and Lamar, really wants to play for Cliff Kingsbury." So the fact that she said it so strong, though, Dev, is
Mhm.
where I get my confidence. It really
Yeah,
is. It's not like it was a passing look. There, it's been rumored that Lamar would like to play for Kings, but she didn't say that. She flat out said, "I know for a fact that Lamar," and she threw the receivers in there. So maybe
yeah,
again, it's larger than Lamar's circle here. We're not talking about
right.
Lamar's contract negotiations, which you ain't getting any information out of DaCosta and Lamar on contracts. But if this is a more organizational wide discussion, AKA, we're going to ask Zay Flowers what he thinks, and Mark Andrews maybe what he thinks as a tenured signed up for the future guy, and Lamar. Then that kind of opens the more people to run their mouth to somebody like Rossini, who has all the credit she needs. I mean, I don't think she's hurting for clicks or money or trying to say something out of pocket there on Colin Cowherd's show.
And plus, there was a tweet that was shared out with me. My brother shared it, actually. I think it was Hollywood, and I didn't get a chance to look at his account. But at some point, I don't know if it was today, I don't know if it was a couple of days ago, he tweeted out a positive tweet about Cliff Kingsbury and how he's his boy, and he's been mentioned. His name has popped up, something to that effect. It wasn't Lamar related, but we do know that, again, Hollywood has that connect with Lamar. Beyond that, when you took a look at the current players on the team, it would make some sense, right? Like Zay, the way he operates, his game, and the things he can do. I think that right off the bat makes a lot of sense. So the pieces and the players that would be running this offense. Um, and to my knowledge, and I think the one thing I'd want to kind of do a little bit more homework on is what Cliff Kingsbury did in Washington with the run game. So I know there's a lot of people worried that this is going to turn into a run and gun pass happy offense, and I believe, and you can keep me honest, Jason. I think they did run the ball okay in Washington. I don't think it's not the prolific run game that we've been used to here, right? But
They
I
ran
think
the
they innovated.
ball way better than you would expect,
Yeah,
especially down the stretch, especially with the injuries that they had. They traded Brian Robinson. They were going
yeah.
with Ja'Cory Krosky Merritt. Who else were they going with down there? Eckler got hurt.
Eckler
They
got
lost
hurt.
their two backs that they were planning on starting the season with, and ran the ball surprisingly well, especially when you look at like DVOA and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, you think about the Cardinals. I mean, James Conner did have some good years there. I believe he was there when Kingsbury was there.
He was
But yeah,
solid. Yeah, yeah.
he was solid. They scored a lot of touchdowns, and it's quite possible that Lamar wants to have the ball in his hands more to spread it out and get into playmakers. But I mean, Yeah, it's very, very interesting. I want to get to Heather here for throw it back to you. Thank you so much for the super chat, Heather. $5 super chat. Her coaching trio, Mentor or Kubiak as the head coach. Okay, I'm following you. Weaver is the defensive coordinator. Cliff, I'm guessing that's OC. I'd rather have half Mike McDaniel at OC. So, yeah, Mike McDaniel, of course, is off the board in Los Angeles with the Chargers. So you get Cliff. That's kind of like Heather's second choice at offensive coordinator. But yeah, Minter, Kubiak, Weaver at DC. It would be really nice, I think, to get Anthony Weaver at defensive coordinator after what he's done in Miami, by the way, Dev, with a ragtag group and getting traded and those guys not giving up. I think he did a more than admirable job down there in Miami. And he has called plays.
Yeah, that's true. He does have experience calling plays. I think he did a good job for the second half of the season to salvage. To salvage, I should say, the defensive performance in Miami. They started off pretty poorly, and he's had injuries to deal with too. But it's interesting. I still have a lot of concerns about the overall body of work from him. When you look at Houston, when you look at Miami, at a certain point, you can't just blame other factors for why a defense isn't able to perform at anything better than a middling level. You look at Jesse Minter. I mean, you look at Jesse Minter, for example, and what he's done with the
Impressive.
Chargers. Like he's been able to elevate that defense without all the personnel and with the injuries. So I think that's where I hesitate with Weaver as a DC for sure, and then even as a head coach.
It's funny because the more I look into Jesse Minter, the more I like him. And people are naturally skeptical of the Harbaugh connection. But, Mike McDonald was part of the Harbaugh connection. I just look, I don't care about all that stuff. I listened to Minter talk press conference. I looked up 2 press conferences. His last one against New England when their season ended. By the way, they held New England to 16 points in that game in Foxborough. A very good performance. But Minter, you look at the personnel. What he did with Adafio Way and getting the 7 sacks or whatever it was out of him after Adafio Way had 0 here. His style of getting to the passer, Tuli Tuipulotu, out of the draft, having career years. And then with Minter also, Dev, the Derwin James factor and how he has said publicly that he looked to Mike McDonald, how he used Kyle Hamilton and was like, yeah, Derwin James is too far away from the ball for my taste. We got to get Derwin James at nickel, at dime linebacker, in and around the ball to maximize Derwin James' impact. So, like, if you hire Jesse Minter, there's no more worry, and Zach Orr is going to have him play in the deep half, like Zach Orr did. Kyle Hamilton will be, where he should be at nickel in nickel defense, at dime linebacker and dime defense, and Porters and all that other stuff. So, I like Minter. Like, to your point, his track record of success. I mean, go ahead and name 5 guys off that Chargers defense. I bet you most people can't.
I'm with you. I like him. I like him. He's been my leading candidate the whole time. Him and Kubiak, I've gone back and forth on for similar reasons. I also think Kubiak has done a great job. We've talked about this extensively with him, but again, he doesn't have all of the talent to work with, and they've been really good on offense. You could make the same case though for Minter, that he's really been creative and I think is really, again, that key of elevating talent and getting them to play at a higher level. And I think that'll come in really handy, right? When you're shorthanded talent wise and you might have some things there defensively. We've seen Belichick's the greatest to ever do it. But one of the things that he could always hang his hat on is no matter who goes down, no matter what injuries we have, we can play at a certain level of defense to give ourselves a chance. And you'd hope for that. I think that's something he's shown. He's been actually. This was something I tweeted. Was that listening to the Athletic podcast? Robert Mays, who's one of the best out there, he made a phenomenal point. He said to me, the job Minter did and McDonald did is very comparable as DC's. So you look at McDonald, you look at when Minter had to work with, it was third, like to your point, talent, 31st in spend, which I didn't think about, but they were 31st, I guess, in spending on defense. And then they still were top 7 in every major category. That is not easy to pull off with the team and the talent that they had. So I do think that he's a guy that's going to be a good coach in this league. I have confidence in that.
Yeah, and just some numbers on Minter. This is Mark Zenitz. It's with CBS Sports saying that he was doing an in-person interview again with the Ravens today. I'm going to take the members off because I want to read the bottom here. With some stats, led by Minter, who worked as an assistant, by the way. So he was here in Baltimore from 2017 to 2020. The Chargers ranked 5th in the NFL this season on total defense. So 5th in total yards is what that means, after ranking 1st in the league in scoring in defense in 2024. So he's called plays on defense for 2 years. He's gotten the most out of guys. He is in here for a second interview today. No news, though, coming out of that Ravens castle. So I don't know. Like somebody say, don't let him leave the building. He left the building. Makes me think, Dev, are we waiting on these guys who are playing this weekend? And the guy that keeps sticking out to me is Clint Kubiak out in Seattle. The job he did, maximizing that offense with Sam Darnold at quarterback, Jackson Smith and Jigba, and a bunch of guys. A finesse type O-line that he was able to get a good guard in there, and Gray Zabel in the first round, Charles Cross, good left tackle, but he's really getting a lot out of that Seattle offense with Mike McDaniel to make them 14-3 and the number 1 seed. So is it possible that they're waiting for Kubiak or Nathan Shieldhouse or Shula, like John mentioned, the 2 Rams coordinators? Do you think that's holding things up here? Do you think they're sitting pretty and saying, look, we got the best job opening here in the NFL? The Bills is a good opening, but Steve Bisciotti trumps Terry Pagula by a lot. The Steelers have a lot going on there. The Ravens feel like they can wait and just pick their guy, even if it's next week.
Yeah, I guess that's the ultimate question, right? Based on what we see them do this week. I was skeptical that they would announce a hire for Minter really it would be Minter. Like, I don't think the other second interview candidates they would run to make that announcement for. But here's the thing: we don't also know what happened in these interviews. So there could have been a scenario where they talked to Kubiak, and Kubiak could have told them. And again, this could be just gamesmanship, but he could have said, "I'm absolutely this is my number 1 choice." And obviously, we know that there's connections there as well, similar to Minter, where his father coached here and his coach coached here, or the head coach of his team coached here. So there's stuff there between that and then other information valves, like maybe the agents, and maybe they have enough intel where they feel confident that they could wait, to your point, and they could have told Minter that today too and said, we'll get back to you and just hang tight. Because maybe Jesse Minter could take the Raiders job, right? And he could take, I don't know, whoever else is interested in him. And they may feel like they've got 3 or 4 guys between the Rams coordinators, I should say. Webb from Denver, right? Because he's still in play. And then you've got Kubiak. So one of those guys should shake loose, right? Because that's 3 teams. I'm just doing the math. And that doesn't even account for the Patriots. I don't think there's anybody on New England. So that's really the 3 teams that have those coaches. And maybe they're willing to play the math or play the numbers game if they like Weaver enough, for example. And they're willing to lose Minter. So that's all part of this. And I think that's anybody that's gone through any sort of interview process, or if you're on the other side of it, right? When you're interviewing candidates, you always want to have like 3 or 4 that you like, just naturally, because one might say no, one might, you might have something happen at the last minute. So I just think this is kind of normal course. Personally,
I mean, I guess I agree. I can't push back on that. It's just that if like Mentor would have came in and blown these guys away, I figure he would be the head coach, especially if he's playing an offensive coordinator. Was say like if we believe what Diana Rossini said, okay, I got Cliff Kingsbury as my offensive coordinator or whoever at my offensive coordinator. Lamar loves that coordinator. You know what Mentor can do defensively. He lines up perfectly. Like to me, if he is your guy, you would have hired him today, which I don't, and I know you might. I know people are going to disagree with that, but that's just kind of my gut feel, Dev. I
if
don't know
he's
how else to explain
100%,
it.
yeah, I would say if he's the
Like
run up
your
to the,
guy, bro. Like
yeah, like we
he,
talked about the draft, if you're running up to the podium to draft the guy, then yeah, I think that's a pretty bad strategy to then say, okay, we will take our chances. So maybe that's really the answer, is that he didn't give them enough to say that he's unquestionably the guy. And the only other thing I put this out there, somebody asked me if he leaves the building, does that mean they are willing to wait? The only other thing I can think of is you're now getting into some detail stuff, similar to Harbaugh, right? Where he left and then they were still working on and these nuances in the language, staff stuff, right? That could be coming up and that could still be part of the conversation. So even if he did leave the building and he's going, there's an understanding that they're pretty close and they're still negotiating. So that's the other possibility I can think of. But I think between Minter, Kubiak, those are my two guys. Like I think then there's pretty much a big distance between the next batch. The one combination that, and you get back to the Rams coordinators too, because that's a whole nother group. And they have, I think, interviewed Shula. I believe they interviewed Shula. I know they interviewed Shellheis, and obviously they interviewed Webb. But like, if they really liked those guys too, right? Then it makes a lot more sense to me, because now you're talking about like, all right, we've grouped all of them pretty close. We do want to interview them again. So that could be
yeah,
the other scenario.
yeah, I agree with what you're saying, especially like I'm not too hot on the Rams coordinators. Number one with Shieldhouse, it's like McVay's running that offense, So he kind of gets like the Eric Bieniemy knock for me, where it's not Bieniemy's offense, it's Andy Reid's. It's not Nathan Shieldhouse's offense. It's more McVay's. And then Chris Shula with the Rams, they do have a ton of talent. I don't get a real good read on him. And then Davis Webb never really called plays at the NFL level.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of holds me back. When I look at Kubiak and the family tree and the success that he's having right now, he's the guy that sticks out to me. But I really have come around on Mentor a lot since the start of this process, just because of what he's been able to do in Los Angeles, and everything else you hear from him. And like you said, I got to hear him talk. I looked up his press conferences just to hear what he sounded like an incredibly bright type guy. Anthony Weaver would not surprise me, by the way, if he is the choice. He could be like that fallback option, though, Dev. Like,
Yeah, totally.
yeah, really. But I wanted to get Heather's comment in there since she's super chatted and gifted 2 memberships. Thanks for all you do. Dev, I'll kick it to you first. What about Sean McDermott? For me, Dev,
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of I don't think so, man. I think he needs a break from this AFC grind. And I've never seen him like outcoach. I've never walked away thinking, man, Sean McDermott did a hell of a job that game.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's things that he's done well. I think in terms of just the body of work, when you look at Sean McDermott's body of work, it's hard to deny it. Came in and totally transformed the culture in Buffalo. And defensively, there's things they do, I think schematically and maybe just more strategy wise, that I think he should get some credit for that, because
Okay.
they're a good situational defense. They're a notch below. They have been a notch below Kansas City, right? In terms of, I think, just some of the situational stuff that they've done. You can argue that both ways, because I know they've also had some bad situational moments, like the 13 seconds game that everybody remembers. But I think he's done a good job there. My concern is, I think, to your point, the grind of the AFC, but also again, are you repeating Harbaugh again? Like in a lot of ways, like if you look at Harbaugh and just his tenure, and then I think having that atrophy almost of just getting close and not getting over the hump, is that what McDermott is attached to as well? Why? And then it kind of begs the question, and they wouldn't have known McDermott was available when they fired Harbaugh. That's fair, right? But
Right.
it's like, what are you doing differently from a fresh start? Yeah, I don't think, and I know the one comparison that's been thrown out there is like, hey, Tampa Bay when they switched from Dungy to John Gruden, or the Colts when they. I mean, I think the Colts comparison's way worse because Jim Mora was just, they had to get rid of him. So they got Dungy, they wanted Dungy, and they both ended up winning Super Bowls. So there's some validity to that, but we also have to remember, like, Gruden at the time was like the best coach in the league, kind of like the way that we look at McVay, and that, everybody was looking at him as that guru, that, young genius, and the Bucks had to pay a big price for him. So I don't think this is the same thing. This isn't like Sean McVay's available. It's McDermott, who I think, if you look again pound for pound with Harbaugh, they're not, to me, they're pretty much very similar. So I feel like it's just start fresh. And the one thing that's interesting in this batch of other candidates, you brought up Weaver. Um, he's the most, I feel like, in that Harbaugh-esque kind of zone, more of a CEO kind of coach. Dan Campbell's like that too in Detroit.
Sure.
It's not a bad thing. I mean, and to your point, he does have experience calling plays, so that's a big difference between those two, like Harbaugh and Campbell. Campbell didn't. I think Campbell was the tight ends coach, and he just got the head coaching job, and that was that. So, but he played like Anthony Weaver, so it's the one where I'm like probably the least interested in, but also I could see him being a successful head coach. Like, there's a level of like, what is, at that point, you're just getting bottom line results. Probably Weaver will get that on some level,
So
but he
yeah,
may not be that wizard guy that we're looking at.
so I heard a lot of people, and I saw a comment that our friend Coach Evans was talking about, that he wasn't interested in Mentor or Weaver because of the Harbaugh aspect. I would split those two. I would not compare Mentor to Weaver. I think if you're hiring Anthony Weaver, you're doing so based on the Ravens culture, the CEO type head coach. And Juiz just said, he knows a little bit about Mentor and his personality. Said, dude's legit. Um, that's good that he's, can be a CEO head coach. But to me, Mentor is more than that, with the X's and O's and the defensive strategy and the identity that they've built out in what used to be a finesse type organization, man, for a long time. The Los Angeles Chargers. They had Junior Seau, and those were some good teams, but man, you don't think about a West Coast team as this aggressive, hard hitting defense, maximizing the defense and the weather out there, the nice weather out there. And Mentor has done that. So
That's a good
Weaver
point.
Weaver feels like a Harbaugh type head coach. Mentor, even though he's been here and was in Baltimore from 2017 to 2020, that to me is a positive. I don't look at him as like a Harbaugh holdover.
I don't either.
And also, there's nothing wrong with some of the things that Harbaugh did. Like I wanted to move on from him too. I was tired of the mismanagement of the roster. But if you can get somebody who runs this same kind of culture as Harbaugh when he first came in, and really motivated that team and got the most out of that superstar group that he had on defense, won playoff games with Joe Flacco, not on the same level as Tom Brady when he first came in the league, and Peyton Manning when he first came into the league before he went on that miraculous run. Like, let's not think that Harbaugh is some bum who can't coach. So if Weaver and Mentor spend some time around Harbaugh, to me that can be a good thing. But Mentor to me would be a superior hire just because of what he's accomplished on defense in the league.
Yeah, well said. I agree with you. I think Minter is. I think that connection that he's a Harbaugh guy is really a stretch. Like, he probably, like McDonald, and McDonald, frankly, is more of a Harbaugh guy than Minter. I mean, if you look at McDonald, he was here for a long time. Then he came back and was the DC here. So if you look at it, If anything, McDonald's the one to me that would carry that torch or carry that kind of identity.
Harbaugh guy,
And
yeah, Harbaugh guy.
more,
Right,
yeah,
like debunking it.
now, yes, debunking it, and I've brought him up as an example to debunk it, but also the fact that if anybody would be associated with that, it would be him to me, more than Minter. Minter, like you said, wasn't here that long, has done other things. He's really built himself up in other places. But I think to your point, like there are good aspects from whatever Harbaugh taught these guys that they I think can bring over. And if it's Weaver, it's the same thing. I don't think it's all like I don't think it's all of a negative. And I think the key though is Minter is, to your point, I think you just said it, superior, just tactical
X
coach, right? Like
X's and
X's and
O's, right?
O's. And the same thing with McDonald. Like McDonald was such a great X's and O's guy, superior to Harbaugh. And Harbaugh's had guys like that on his staff. I mean, I have to think about it. Looking at some of the guys he's brought on, because that's just the nature of his situation as the coach of the team, being a special teams guy. He's just never been offensive and defensive. Uh, his offensive defensive especially isn't there, so he's had to lean on people on the staff. So I don't think that's a factor for me. I think with Weaver, my bigger concern is that he just has not succeeded at all. Like if you look at his coordinator jobs, I know there's been challenges, but he just hasn't done well. So that is a red flag to me. It really is. Now I'd have to probably go back and do some homework on play a similar head coaches like him, where they didn't get it done at that level as coordinator, but maybe they still succeeded. Like I don't really know what the immediate example of that would be, but hey, I'll
So
take it.
I want to thank Jay Z and Romy Raven, for putting this out. Saw you guys in the comments, so I appreciate that. The Ravens have concluded their interview with Chargers defensive coordinator Jesse Minter. I'm told this just came out that at 9:21 p.m. So this is
Hmm.
out about 23 minutes ago. I just ran over and grabbed this screenshot while you were talking. So hey, maybe they didn't leave him, let him leave the building. He was still in the building as of 20 minutes ago. Long day, long day.
That's a
So
positive
yeah,
sign to me. Like you're not going to have we don't know how long these interviews are, but if we're assuming it's a day for multiple hours,
I mean, you would assume.
and
My assumption is it started like 9 this morning. People get
yeah,
in,
that
you get meet the
right.
equipment crew, you meet with every department. So like most of these departments are 9 to 5ers. You would figure
That's a
he's
good
probably
point.
been in there for 12 hours.
That's a great point. Yeah, and if we all have gone to final stage interviews, you'll know you know that those tend to be, well. There's two forms. One is that long, long, long interview, right, where they're hitting you with everything in the kitchen sink, and then you have your token interview where you just go in and it's done quickly because you pretty much know you're getting the job. So it's just hard to say with what their exact processes, right? Like the interview structure. We just don't know the particulars, and every team's different. And so, but I do think that is a positive. I also think I believe they've had the second interviews already with Weaver and Brady, right? Joe Brady.
That's
So
what it right.
I don't know if those. I don't know how long those went, or like we don't. Yeah. So there's a little bit of like if there's somebody out there getting the scoop on like if it went well or not. I'll just say this on Minter, like if he really wants this job, um, and there's every reason to think he should, because naturally he was here. Unless he didn't like his time, why would he consider, right? So you would assume he wants to be the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens on some level, and just from there on, if that's the case, yeah, this is still the best job. And we had Buffalo to thank for that today with the debacle
My goodness.
press conference they had with their owner and Brandon Bean, and it was just. Like, I think objectively, anybody would still look at this and say Okay, I have a shot to be the head coach of the Ravens once in a lifetime. Again, where does this rank in the cycles, right? That's the other thing, Jason. So I was listening to the Athletic Pod, and they also said this is the best job that they think has been opened, or the best opening since the Packers opening when they hired
After McCarthy, right,
LaFleur,
right,
or even going back when they had McCarthy left and LaFleur. So that's the
right.
best. That's it, because you had Rodgers in his prime and like that. They were like, okay, it's the best. And so if that's like 20 years of time. So yeah, it's ultimately where I'm going is saying, yeah, just Jesse Venture, this is like this could be his dream job. So if it is, he knows he can also go back to LA if it doesn't work out.
I think they would have a good relationship with him to say, "Look, Jesse, you're one of our guys. Can you hold off before you take another job, or take another interview?" I don't know if Jesse Minter, maybe you can help me out here, has been on other head coaching interviews. Would he just return to the Chargers and work with Mike McDaniel over there, offensive coordinator, defense coordinator with Harbaugh again? But you would think if he was in this building for 4 years as an assistant, that he would understand how the Ravens work pretty
That's a
damn
good.
well,
That's a very good point.
and
That's a
understand
very
the
good point.
city,
Yeah.
understand the building, look at the renovations that they've done. Probably knows Bisciotti at least, I won't say well, but he knows Bisciotti, what kind of
Mhm.
organization he runs, and it would
Yep.
not surprise me if this is his dream job after spending 4 years. Now, Samuel Moore had a super chat. Thank you so much, Samuel. I think everybody in here would love to have had Mike McDonald, but I think we forget he is also a horrible guy. So I don't really know what to make of that, Samuel.
Okay, if there's some personal information, Samuel, I am intrigued because that's the first I've heard of that. I'll tell you something, and I'm not going to reveal
He
my.
even put up with our friend Trippy outside. Like I thought that was
I
heroic.
know.
Shout out
Let's
to
just
Trippy.
let's just say some. Let's just say I know someone who knows him, and that's the first I'm hearing about that. I've only heard good things, but again, this is somebody might have it. Like Sammy might have a different.
Maybe he
He might
means
have a different
McDaniel.
story.
Maybe he means Mike McDaniel,
Who
the
being
Dolphins
a
host,
being a horrible
Dolphins host.
guy. Yeah, that might check out more. I that yeah, I don't know,
So
but
sorry, Samuel. Usually I have
yeah.
a nice breakdown when I get a super chat, but yeah, and he follows up with John Harbaugh guy. Okay, all right,
Oh,
I got you.
I'm gonna
I
have to
got you.
disagree with you on that, Sammy. I think you're looking at the possible coach of one of the Super Bowl teams, and I know that's
I
gonna
did it.
rub
They're
salt
saying it.
into the wound, man. But
Yeah, man. Mark's saying that. Man, Sammy might be get personal there. Might get personal. I love that. That's funny. You guys are too much. So, Jeff,
man.
we covered the main candidates, but yeah, this is interesting from Josina, that
Yeah.
he was there all damn day. Like,
Mm. You
yeah,
know
dude,
the
I really believe that, I firmly believe, because Bisciotti mentioned in his presser that they're going to meet with every department. That this second interview is an all day affair. And if I'm going to go through this, Lamar, you better get your ass up here too and go through this. And it's like, hey, to me, that would mean there's meeting with the equipment guys, the training staff, the HR department, the PR department, the whatever hundreds of departments they have there at the Ravens in that big old castle. Like, I really feel like Minter was probably there for a good 12, 13-hour day, probably went out to lunch with the guys, or
Sure.
maybe they ordered lunch in, had, dinner with them, the nutritional department. I mean, think of all the stuff that they have just to have Jesse Minter there all day. Dude. I see that as a tremendous positive for him, man. Like when we didn't hear
Well,
anything, why did I assume that it just didn't go well for Minter because he wasn't hired on the spot? That was my own
I think
assumption, man,
that's
bias.
it's not just you. I've read that. I was off Twitter for a couple hours, right? But I did read some of that. If he's the guy, they'll announce it today. It just doesn't strike me is their MO for that. That's the other thing. Like we only have two references to go off of, right?
Yeah.
Like we know none of us from none of Marcha Broda was like they moved the team
Bridge.
and then they hired him. Like there was
He was a
they
bridge,
just
Steph. Like
they just needed a
I've
coach.
I've
Yeah,
said it before. Being from Baltimore, I understood. Like I
yeah,
was
they
in
just
the
needed a
community.
coach.
It was a coach to get people like my dad on board with the Ravens.
Yeah,
You
and
have to understand when you get older and your team leaves, it's not like you're when you were, I was a young kid. I was still watching football. My dad didn't want to watch it. My dad was out of touch. You know what I mean? It was on TV, but he really didn't care. You want to get these
yeah,
fans back out to the stadium. That's why they hired Ted Marchibroda. So to your point, there was only really two hires in the entire 30 years of the Ravens. Marchibroda kind of
yeah.
was that bridge. It was Billick and then Harbaugh.
And Billick,
Sorry
we
for
know.
interrupting, but
Oh no, and I'm glad you added that context. That's exactly right. Billick, we know that was like he was the hot guy, the guy they wanted to pursue and get and hire, and that was public. Like if they came out and Billick was visiting with them, and they came out and they said, "Well, we're gonna have to make sure he doesn't leave the building." That made sense at the time because they had no credibility, and that was a huge hire to lift the credibility. Then you get to Harbaugh, and they did not want John Harbaugh was not their first choice. Then they interviewed him multiple times, a lot like this. He waited and he waited and he talked. We talked about this on your show that he said, "Aren't you going to hire me?" It's
poor Samuel. I feel really bad. He's talking and he's saying Harbaugh,
yeah.
and it autocorrected it to horrible. Poor Samuel Moore. I'm here to defend your honor, sir. Samuel Moore, he cracked me up, Sammy.
Does
Yeah,
autocorrect
he's not a
subliminally?
horrible guy, Dev. He's a horrible guy,
Yeah,
and
he's a Harbaugh
autocorrect is
guy.
too.
Yeah, so Sammy was
Gotcha.
just echoing what we were saying that
Yeah, he's backing us
McDonald.
up, saying McDonald
Yeah,
was a hardball guy, just like Minter. That's and we were.
that's a
That's
hundred
funny.
percent right, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I guarantee you, a lot of these guys love Harbaugh. Like I bet McDonald, when he was addressing his team for the first time and doing all these different things, like he probably took pieces of what Harbaugh um, ended up teaching them.
Poor Samuel, bro. He spent $12 trying to explain that he was a hardball guy.
Oh my
Poor
God!
Samuel, man. I have to send you something for free. That's
Yeah,
so funny.
you gotta
Ashley
take
getting
care
a
of
kick out of
Sammy.
it. Samuel is the man. Yeah, that's too much. That's too much. So, Dev,
Uh,
we spent a lot of time on Mentor, a lot of time on Weaver. I think both of us are really intrigued with Clint Kubiak out in Seattle. We've made our feelings known. What about some of the other guys? Because you texted me talking about the Shulas, you're talking about the Shieldhouse. What else about the coaching cycle at this point strikes you? What is on your mind?
Yeah, it's an interesting landscape now because you have a lot of people that have high. Well, not a lot, but there's been hires, and those were mostly the former coaches that have already coached, and so there was that group of retreads, if you want to call them that. And the only one that's existing in that space is Kingsbury. It looks like, right? I think a couple of them are hanging around like Dable, but that's not somebody that the Ravens have been linked to. And then there's other guys that the Bills are not linked to. So the Steelers are linked to McCarthy. So I don't really think that's going to be the route they take, which is kind of exciting if you're a Ravens fan, right? Like I think the now what we're getting to is it really does line up to me as they're going to get a guy that's a first time head coach. Um, I do want to talk a little bit about the Rams coaches. It's an interesting point you made about McVay's the coach there, and how much credit should Shieldhouse, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name the right way.
I
Um,
always say by the way, it's like in between house and like what we used to call a horse that was a really good horse, a Haas. You ever heard the
Haas,
term? That's a
yes,
Haas. So
Shieldhouse.
I kind of mix the two because I don't want to mess it up either way. So I go with like Nathan Shieldhouse.
There you
So
go.
it's like
I'll take you.
And by the way, to your point, I think it was Jay Z brought up or Dario, one of our Rough Riders in here, said that the enemy's their
Yeah,
offensive coordinator again because Matt Nagy couldn't keep up with Eric Bieniemy's standard. So it wasn't all Andy Reid. the enemy had that offense humming, like you're about to say with the McVay Shieldhouse thing here.
There's a difference, right? Like Shieldhouse said it right. What I've heard, what again is just based on whatever report, whatever we're learning about these candidates. So he was the offensive coordinator, I believe, at Iowa State. He is one of these. He is one of these really impressive young coaches that emulates the Shanahan and McVay trees, right? So, and you can look at those trees, or you can look at those different guys like Kevin O'Connell, I believe was a McVay guy, right? And he's been successful in Minnesota. So I think there's that. Now he's not calling the plays. We don't, but he's a pass game coordinator, which I think is interesting. And I like McVay's pass game concepts and structures. So he's going to get a job. He's going to get a head coaching job at some point. I also think the same could apply to Davis Webb because they're that group of 30 something year. I mean, I think Shieldhouse is 34.
34,
Webb is 30.
35.
Yeah, and no 35, and Webb is 30. So they're the next wave guy. It's just a matter of does a Bisciotti, does it Eric DaCosta, do they believe that we're going to hire him a year early versus like a year late?
So
what people were saying about Tomlin.
That brings me to something I want to hear in the chat. By the way, for those of you watching on replay, the chat's available usually about 12 hours. So like, Thursday morning at 9, 10, you can pull up the chat and see the whole thing, even when I pull it off the stage. But I want to ask the chat, you're in the Lamar Jackson window right here, buddy. Like this is age 29 to, you say you're going to keep the coach for 5-6 years at a minimum if he's any good. So this is the end of Lamar's prime. If you thought Nathan Shieldhouse or Davis Webb or somebody was the best person to work with Lamar, would it make you nervous? Would you hire them or not? Because they've never been an offensive coordinator. So give me a yes if you would still hire them, or a no way. This is too important a time. I don't want somebody who's never called plays in the NFL to be my head coach. So what if you liked them? I'm saying if you liked them, if you thought that they would work well, be a good Raven, is this a yes or a no from you? Because that would be where I would I don't know if I would have the stomach, we'll just say, to hire somebody that hasn't called plays at the end of Lamar Jackson's window here, Dev.
I think I feel like that's a bigger risk with Webb. With Shieldhouse, at least he has called plays. He didn't call plays in the NFL, but he's called them at some level. So there is a little bit of like, maybe, there's some transferable experience. But with Webb, it's a total shot in the dark. But he's done some good things. To me, it could just be he's a year or two early. You bring up a very good point about Lamar. As we know, Lamar is not like straight. It's not a straight shot with him. Like we don't know how he'll respond to these coaches either. And if something goes awry and these guys are inexperienced, like, will they be able to handle that circumstance in that situation? I don't know. I think I gave one example though with the Webb. This would be one situation that I might like. I'll throw this one out there. Let's say they get Webb, and then they get Kingsbury as the OC, right? And then they bring in Jimmy. I'm throwing out Schwartz. I don't know if he's actually available.
Veteran DC.
Yeah. So you now have insulated Webb with two veteran former head coaches. You think about what they did in 2008 with Harbaugh. That's pretty much what they did. They got Cameron, and they had Ryan, and Ryan was the holdover, we know. But those are two veteran coordinators that really helped ease the situation with the first-year coach. So one thought, that you give Webb the reins, but you do bring in experienced veteran coaches that could talk to Lamar, and especially if he has a relationship or he likes Kingsbury. To me, it makes even more sense. And all the stuff about Webb has been positive.
Crazy positive. Like he's a quarterback like he was running the quarterback room for older quarterbacks and things of that nature. And Davis Webb comes right out of playing in the NFL to right into coaching, and he's 30 years old, running things. So like, yeah, I could see where they go with this young guy who's charismatic, a leader. I saw a story to where Davis Webb hollered at Sean Payton, and it got Broncos fans' attention, and he was taken up for Bo Nix. So it shows you the kind of moxie Davis Webb has. Like, the guy who hired you and Sean Payton, Mr. Bountygate himself, is not someone to mess with, obviously. So Davis Webb, a leader, unafraid. Maybe you surround him with a Cliff Kingsbury and, like you're saying, a Jim Schwartz or a veteran defensive coordinator. These veteran defensive coordinators are anywhere. I think it was Mark that said, the OCs age like milk. The defensive coordinators, they seem like they can coach forever. Like Dick LeBeau, think about him. When he was with the Steelers, he stayed on with Tomlin to bridge the gap.
And that helped exactly. That's another good comparison. So that's one route. The only thing I'll hit on with the other candidates that we haven't touched on with Shula is interesting because of obviously to start with his roots. But I was watching that game pretty closely. I don't know if you were as well, Jason, as far as what the Rams were doing against the Bears. And how they handled those key moments, the critical moments. I liked how they did it, and I liked some of the things that they did. I'm not going to pretend like I watched it like I watch a Ravens game, though, where I'm like, oh, I know that they're going outside of their normal tendencies or something like that. But that play that Caleb Williams makes, that's just like a 1 in a million kind of thing. And that's, to me, more of a player's issue. But if you look at the way in which they were able to they're able to get key turnovers and key stops, I liked it. I know their defense has also kind of gone a little bit on the downside or the downswing as the season has progressed. So, but yeah, he's also a really he's not. I think in terms of X's and O's, he and Minter are probably comparable in some ways. So I wouldn't dismiss him either, and he could be another guy they like a lot.
It just seems just to wrap this up, Dev. I'm going to bring my guy Ryan from the Flock Rundown. Man, God bless you. Thank you for joining in, and I hope you're enjoying the show, Ryan. Do you think we know who the new coach is before the Super Bowl? I would think so. I think after this week, no matter who wins and who loses, you are allowed to talk with the coordinators on the winning team. So whoever gets put out, obviously, we can bring them in.
Yeah, I've seen people say the Bills because they're late in the game. Sorry to interrupt, but I was just thinking about the same thing. Like, I saw something about the Bills being a bit at a disadvantage because they're late in the game, and now do they have to wait? Which doesn't make sense to me because I thought back in the day this happened a lot. Like you had Marvin Lewis, I think, interviewing. Like when the Ravens were in the Super Bowl, he was a hot candidate at that time. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think
from what I understand, you can't interview in person when there's 1 week in between games. So you can't pull them out while they're preparing for the conference championship. But when it's Super Bowl week and you got 2 weeks to prepare, you can take that flight out and come to Baltimore. That's how I understood it. And if that's the case, Ryan, and they can meet with, we'll just pick Clint Kubiak out of all the guys that are playing this weekend. Win or lose, they can meet with anybody, any coordinator from any of those teams. Then I feel like they will be able to narrow their search down. DaCosta talked about a 3-week process. Here we are 2 weeks, 2 weeks into it, right? So within the next week, I would think shortly after the conference championship games, I think next week here on the show, Wednesday night at 9, Def, we're talking about the new head coach. That's kind of my guess.
That's exciting. I got to make that happen. I got to get my Wi-Fi stuff straight now. But I tend to agree. Also, because how much time are you then giving the person that you hire at the end to put together a staff? This is also getting into the staff strategy and the staff configuration. So no better example than what we're talking about with Kingsbury, right? Where for all we know, the guys that they're meeting with, if it's Minter or whoever, Weaver's already been reported by Diana Rossini, they are already bringing that to the table, and they know the team, they know the different groupings. So that can't really be accomplished cleanly if you're waiting so long, because then all of a sudden, like a Kingsbury would say, I'm just going to take the OC job over here, or I might still get a head coaching job, possibly, right? So I think that's
Yeah.
the other side of it, to your point. And so then yeah, you really, if to me, then it's like if Kubiak is the other person here, and they can get another bite at the apple, that's going to be very dicey if they move on to the Super Bowl. Like,
So I
you're pretty
think,
much rooting for him to lose.
well, yeah, I think that you can meet, and that we'll have to double check, but I think you can meet with the winning teams, the teams that are going to the Super Bowl. You can meet with their coordinators too, because of the
Sure.
2 weeks in between. But
Yeah.
I something tells me that they have a good enough relationship with Minter, and not only that, Dev, that Harbaugh would take them back in a heartbeat. And even if something
That.
happened
Mhm.
with Jim Harbaugh in Los Angeles, that Minter is a hot enough prospect where he could go be defensive coordinator pretty much anywhere. Like, Minter's not worried
Yeah.
about his place in the NFL. When I look at Cliff Kingsbury, who's just been fired from the Commanders, it strikes me as different. So I think what I'm getting at here is I feel like Minter, they could say to him, "Hey, Jesse, can you wait until this time next week? We're going to make our final decision. Can you
Well,
just hold tight? Like, it's going to be between you and these other two guys that we're not going to spread their business, but we got to wait until they play their games until we can really meet with them."
yeah, and to that end, there was a Chargers. I can't remember who it was, a podcaster, or he covers the team, and he tweeted out that Minter is likely to be deciding if he whether he gets the head coaching job with the Ravens. Then the fallback would be to remain with the Chargers as the defensive coordinator. So that makes a lot of sense to me. Why would you? So then, what are the other coaching jobs left? Right, we got the Arizona job, you got the Raiders job. Raiders, I know, are interested in Minter. That has been put out there. And the interesting thing about the Raiders is, because they have the number one pick, there is some appeal, and I guess because Brady's attached to that whole thing, so that's a little bit of a wild card. But they also have been attached to Kubiak. Then you've got, of course, the Steelers and the Bills. And I just don't think either of those teams have had a strong connection to either candidate. I mean, it's still early for the Bills, but like, you have heard nothing about Minter to the Steelers. Like, it's been different guys. So I tend to think, to your point, this seems like a mutual match. And it's just, are the Ravens really trying to be as we know the Ravens are thorough with everything. That's just the way they are. So is it just a matter of, like you said, saying, we really think you're at the closest, I don't know how they would put it, but like, maybe the best way you said, you're one of our guys, just hold tight. And if you can be patient, uh, that could be it. That could be it. So
Yeah.
we'll find
And I
out.
wonder if some of these other teams are waiting for the Ravens to make their choice, so they can get the heck on. You know what I mean? Like
I wonder if
everybody's waiting for the
yeah.
Ravens.
Yeah, the
Even the
Steelers,
Steelers.
right? It could be. I think the Steelers is very interesting as well, because I could see Shula for them, and I know that's been a rumor. He's been brought up. Obviously, Flores makes a lot of sense for them. I don't think it seems like they're very much cooled with the Ravens and that connection.
Mhm.
And McCarthy, I don't know what to make of the McCarthy connection, but hey,
McCarthy or
by all
Flores,
means,
right?
take McCarthy. If I,
Yeah, if Flores lands in Pittsburgh, I'm not happy. If McCarthy lands in
yeah,
Pittsburgh, I'm pretty happy.
yeah,
As a Ravens fan, of course.
yeah,
But Dev,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead, bud.
No, just saying, just that it's really. I know the Ravens are the ones looking for the coach, so that's why we care about this. But even if you were not, I mean, I think the other, I meant to say, like, the other fans out there, and with what's happened with Buffalo and what's happened with the Steelers, like, it's incredible. This is one of the most intriguing coaching cycles, hiring situations I've ever seen, with three prominent pillar or teams, right? Like, the Bills are what I wouldn't call pillars, but like, they are current,
They're current
standard.
contenders.
Current
Right.
contenders. So it's just uncharted territory that we're in.
So Dev, I want to take this opportunity, actually, for like an apology. This is just what I'm feeling in my heart right now. Is that this cycle is so chaotic. Today is so chaotic. What's going on that I don't feel like the show was as organized as it as usually is. So I appreciate everybody sticking with us tonight and all the people. It's been a very lively chat, a lot of viewers in here. But Dev, it's like I can't stay on track tonight. It's like Minter, Kubiak, Minter, Weaver, Kubiak, back to seems like we zeroed in a lot on Jesse Minter tonight. But for those of you who are tuning in maybe for the first time, usually the show seems a lot more fluid and organized than it did. I don't feel like I did a good job of putting this thing together tonight, Dev.
Well, I don't know. I think you're a little hard on yourself. It's to your point. This is a moving target, and the fact that Minter's in the building today, I do think warranted the amount of conversation we had. He's been linked to them as the guy. So I think we did the right thing, and it's a fluid conversation. But like you said, hopefully next week, if they do have a decision, then we can talk about a whole host of other things. Like
Yeah,
just
man. Like that'll
that'll be a
make for a
structure.
like. I just maybe I'm just feeling the chaos here,
It's
because
chaotic.
it's like
The Ravens aren't making it easy. We don't. And I tell you, last night was interesting too with the McDaniel news dropping. So it's just like it's constant changes. The Bills, what they did, and then like all of a sudden they're in the mix. Within 2 days, they're looking at candidates.
it's like, can't they just say, "Damn it, these are our 4 finalists. We're going to bring them in on this day, this day, and that day." We're preparing for the snowstorm, by the way.
I know,
Now,
right?
don't know if you heard, Death, but biggest snowstorm in 10 years here in Baltimore coming on Saturday night.
Ooh,
Yeah,
I'm
so
sure there's
it's gonna,
some.
like we're at Wednesday night now, so it's still like fluctuating, but it's looking like we're going to get a foot at least, which is a
Ooh.
lot down here. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
So
I'm sure there's probably
do you worry
snow.
about, but as far as the head coaching, the flights, you know what I mean? Like what the hell is happening? Like, I wish it was like, okay, we had our interview with Minter, but we're going to bring Kubiak in for a second interview. We're going to bring Davis Webb in for a second interview. Pick your guy. And on Wednesday, on Thursday, we're doing this. And then we're going to make our decision on Friday. And damn it, it's not happening like that, Def.
Yeah, it's not. They're the ones on the hook for it, and we are along for the ride. So it's yeah, it's been interesting. I'll say this: it's not been boring. It's not been boring from my end.
Yeah, it just feels chaotic, and I'm not used to it. Maybe that's the control freak in me. Like, put
Yes.
together a good show. It's like, man, I don't even know what to talk about. Everything's happening. So I
I'm
thank
with
you
you.
so much for being here with me tonight, Dev, because by myself I would have been lost. And Alec, you know how that goes, bud. With Alec.
Hey, I'm here, man. I just don't know. I can never give you consistency with how I'll be here, but I'm here, and I'm talking to you. So that's
No,
all.
I love
I'm
you,
having
man.
a lot of fun talking about this with you. I hope the fans get something out of what we're saying, and we're just kind of in the same boat with them, trying to keep up.
Josiah saying, I doubt we hire anyone this week. See, that's what I'm thinking, Josiah. I'm thinking after the championship games, come next Wednesday, though, Josiah, is what I'm thinking. Come next Wednesday, I feel like we have a good shot. I'd say over 50% that the coach is named.
I think that's
No,
fair. Yeah, I
I
think
think
that
it's up.
if it's not Wednesday, it will be that week because the only other variable I can think of is Kubiak. If he is part of that group, I do think he is one of the leading candidates. So then you're waiting a bit just to, and you would think. Although in these cases, some of these cases, that stuff has happened quickly. I think if I remember McDonald, if after the Ravens lost the AFC Championship game, McDonald immediately got that job, right? So it was like
Right.
they interviewed, it was like it happened really quick. So I could be wrong. Maybe it's just technical thing of Kubiak and then they're off and running and they do get it done. So that's the one thing I would put out there. But yeah, I think something in that end of the week range sounds about right.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dev, to my football family. Alec, I see he's saying this will be his final post because the snowblower failed. That's the kind of joke you get from Mr. Polianis. Maybe he'll be back with us next week. But yeah, thank you to my football family. Love my football family. Please don't forget, if you have a membership, you're able to see the videos I put out, the highlight videos right away. For everybody else, they come out one a day at 6 p.m. So I'm really enjoying reading your comments on those videos and putting them out and getting ready for the draft. Doing the coaches, man, it's just a busy, busy time. So thank you for everybody joining. Great night tonight. Dev, with that, thank you so much, man. They say I couldn't have done it without you. And please say good night to the people for me.
Good night, everyone. Get your rest. Take care.
Get your snow shovels.
Yeah.